A lot of people are believing God to move. A lot of people are believing God for their new life, for their new land, for their new territory. God wants to speak to this exodus that he is doing. A lot of us are like, okay, God, you told me to do this. You told me I'm about to do that. But how? What do I need to do? And you've been in a place for a minute now where you didn't hear anything. You haven't received anything. And you thought, well, God, I guess you're just going to make it fall out the sky or something. I don't know. But God wants to make it clear he does have divine instruction for you. Continue to consecrate yourself and cling to him, and he will reveal that to you. For this video, I'm going to be talking about different things that happened in Isaiah 14 that God wants me to expand on. When God was prepping Moses to begin this journey, he told Moses that he was going to take the Israelites the long way to avoid possible attack. A lot of us didn't understand why it took God so long and why we had to wait so long, not realizing the severity of danger we faced over the years. If God didn't take us the long way, we would have been snuffed out a long time ago. We would have gave up a long time ago. He went before them as a column of smoke and fire. You have been led this entire time. It felt like you were going in circles because that was a part of the route. It felt like you took 2 steps forward, then 10 steps back because that was the route. You may not have known where you were going, but God did. He set them on their way, but then commanded that they turn back and set up camp. It felt like God sent you on your way, then said to turn back. Not only turn back, but set up camp. I know so many of y'all were like me, like, you know what, God, I actually don't need to rest. I actually feel fine. Like, let's just keep going. It's fine. I'm not trying to rest. I don't want to take another break. I don't need, no, let's just keep going at this point. We wanted to get the ball rolling, but God wanted to ensure we didn't get ahead of ourselves. Divine timing is everything. We may not understand it, but God does. We may be asleep, but God ain't. So in the midst of setting up camp, the Egyptians pursued them. The Israelites were then stuck between the Red Sea and the Egyptians. And that made me think how after God told me to rest, and I'm sure for a lot of y'all, it's like you had started out, everything was going smooth, and then boom, God is like, okay, I need you to rest. Take a season of rest. And it's like, I don't want to, but okay. Then out of nowhere, that's when the trouble hit. It said that terrified, the Israelites cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses, "Did you bring us out into the desert to die?" Just like the Israelites, we felt forsaken by God as we watched what appeared to be the ultimate doom. We felt like it was no way out. It felt like God had left us for dead, but whole time, what we thought was ultimate setback was a divine setup. Moses tried to comfort his people, and God said to him, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to start moving. Raise your staff and divide the sea." Imagine God said, raise up a stick and the sea gonna divide. In impossible situations, God will move through your hands. Anybody can hold up a staff, but only by the power of God was the Red Sea departed. We have the power of God in our hands through our obedience and faith. God really could have gave Moses these instructions ahead of time, but he didn't. And personally, I believe he didn't tell Moses in part because God was testing his faith, and also he was proving to him that 1, he would be with him during their journey, and 2, he was qualified for the mission. Because in Exodus 3, it was obvious that Moses felt inadequate to carry God's people, and this is in reference to what he said to God. God said that he would receive honor by what was done to the Egyptians. I felt led to read the story of Moses and the Israelites again about a week ago or so. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, God, you kept causing all of these plagues and frogs and boils and everything else just to tell Moses, like, I want you to go and talk to Pharaoh. But when you talk to Pharaoh, tell him if he don't listen to me, this is what's going to happen. But I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to listen because I'm going to harden his heart. And I was like, if you're going to harden his heart, why are you mad at Pharaoh? Why are you messing with them people and they animals and crops and kids? But I kept reading it. And it came to me, God was stirring up his wrath against them. God had already made his mind up concerning their heart posture. It was up with the Egyptians. Revenge against the Egyptians, especially Pharaoh, was personal for God. In verse 18, it says that, "And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I am honored for what I did to Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen." I was like, dang, God came for everything. Not only am I about to kill you, Pharaoh, but I'm about to destroy your chariots and your horsemen, the horses, all of it. Something that God really wanted to highlight to me was God uses us to deliver and set his people free. He connects people to our breakthroughs, but he also connects people's demise to your breakthrough. I knew that when God performs a miracle, I had to be in position. I didn't realize that it wasn't just me, but it's those who will be blessed by it, and also those whom he will curse through it. God did not give the Israelites favor with Pharaoh until the appointed time of his wrath. For some people, the minute you leave their house, that apartment complex, that job, that company, their favor will go with you. And for some, they will lose their lives in the process because it is just that serious to God. So at this point of the story, God had given Moses the instruction. He told him what to do with the staff. And before Moses did that, God went from in front of them to behind them. And God was saying through that, in the worst of situations, we don't realize the divine protection that stands between us and our enemies. There may be collateral damage, but there will be no casualties. In verse 21, it says that all night the Lord pushed back the sea with the strong east wind and turned the sea into dry ground. The water divided and the Israelites went through the middle of the sea on dry ground. I never realized that they were going through the sea like the whole night. So many of us were in the wilderness for so long that we didn't even realize the ship to dry land. We thought we were still stuck in the wilderness season because of how everything looked around us, not even knowing that we were on our way out and the Lord was standing between us and our enemies the whole time. The Lord held back the heavy weight of warfare and attack so that although we could see it, we could not touch it. It felt like the whole world was caving in, but when you look back in the promised land, you will see that in actuality, you freed freely. As the Egyptians followed them through the sea, God caused them to panic. First of all, ain't no way I would have followed the Israelites into that sea. This man just raised up a whole stick and split the sea. I would not go into that sea. But when God allows your enemies to be consumed by the desires of their heart, they will do anything. They will fall right into the trap that they actually set for you. It comes a time when your enemies are faced with the fact that God was with you the whole entire time. Nobody can avenge you like God can. Their heart towards God's people led them to their own demise. In verse 30, it says, "And Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the seashore." A lot of us felt like God had purposely put us in a back against the wall situation and said, now you figure it out. It's like he took us out of our wilderness and put us in what seemed to be like the wilderness part 2. He told us to go, then he told us to stop, he told us to rest. The next thing you know, he said, why aren't you moving? We didn't understand what God was doing and were confused to say the least. So many of us received a temporary rest from all of our enemies just to feel thrown to the wolves once again. It felt like God had forsaken us, but little did we know God had a plan for us all along, a divine plan to get the glory out of seeing our enemies destroyed and our feet on dry land. When the Israelites looked up and see the Egyptians coming, the King James Version says that they were sore afraid. They thought surely the Lord had forsaken them. Little did they know they were not in danger by a long shot. God had only given them front row seats to watch the end of their enemies, one by one. God is not coming to rescue you. He is already with you. Look up and know you are not in danger. Look up and know that the Lord has seen your tears. Look up and know that he has went ahead of you, behind you, and he is in the middle. Look up and witness the defeat of your enemies.